Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Mecklenburg in this theme of taking a look at the steel battleships available to purchase. Mecklenburg is one that I think a lot of people enjoy. This one I have some good games in, and then I have some really bad games in. And today I want to show you some of the strengths and weaknesses of this ship. The absolute strength is 16 guns with pretty good accuracy. It's very nice to see tight dispersion out of this many shells. Typically we don't get that. And you can land salvos like that, which feel very nice. This ship also has quite good concealment. It's reasonably quick too, and with this reload and accuracy on these 305s, you can do some really good damage into broadside cruisers. That's going to be the main thing that Mecklenburg is going to do very well, at least when it comes to armor piercing. When they're broadside, they're going to take a lot of damage from you, or at least they should. When they angle even a little bit, this guy here wasn't even perfectly angled in his Yoshino there, suddenly 4 bounces arrive. So then what do we do when things are angled, especially battleships? What if we have to deal with 2 bow-in Kremlins? Well, the AP is probably not going to do very well then. We have to rely on our high explosive. So the good dispersion here combined with alright fire chance should result in a decent amount of fires. And that's what we're going to have to do here. Even though the HE has kind of abysmal alpha damage, especially since I've played Rhode Island recently, that ship just kind of released somewhat close to the release of this video, I really noticed the difference in the HE alpha. And maybe Rhode Island's is a little overtuned, but Mecklenburg HE feels pretty weak in comparison. It just doesn't hit all that hard. Our HE salvos are much more that of a heavy cruiser HE salvo rather than battleship HE. But that's okay. We still get decent amount of fires. Double fire there on the Kremlin forces his damage control. We should, if we hit enough shells, get ourselves a nice permanent fire on this guy. But I really don't like relying on high explosive. That's one of the main problems with this ship, is as soon as people angle to you, you really do have to rely on that HE. And I'm just not a huge fan of that. I haven't really mentioned it when it comes to these videos where I'm talking about these steel battleships, but keep in mind, this is just my opinion on these ships. I'm trying to give you some positives and negatives, and based on my playstyle, I'm going to rank them, of course, after we take a look at all of them. But if you're having fun in these ships, even the ones that I don't like as much, just keep enjoying them. Who cares what I have to say? If you're having a great time, if you're enjoying them, continue to do so. Don't let me stop you from doing that. I do think, though, that there is a bit of a hierarchy here, and Mecklenburg falls somewhere in the middle. Once we've looked at all of them, I will try to take a look and rank all of these steel battleships in order that I would personally like to get them. Unfortunately, no hydro on this ship, so we do end up falling to the Shimakaze that had a very nice flank against us here. In our second game, we're going to find a broadside Iowa. Surely this is going to be a nice juicy salvo. Unfortunately, we don't actually get our front guns. Nice dispersion. 5 torp protection hits. Are we sure, game? Yeah, a little disappointing. So when it came to the Shikishima, I found that only 6 guns at such a high caliber meant we had to deal with a ton of RNG, and I didn't really enjoy that as much. In comp, you can also see that as well. With this ship, it really struggles into battleships. As soon as you're against cruisers with larger citadels and that, then it feels pretty good. A couple citadels there on the Petro, but broadside Montana, he's even stationary for us. What are we gonna do? Maybe I'm getting a little too greedy going for citadels here, but I think this does just kind of prove my point a little bit here, where the AP is a little bit weak on the shells. They just don't have the pen that a 305 could have. Right, things like a Stalingrad, for example, would easily smash through this Monty Citadel. Even Petro guns, speaking of Petro right here, Petro would easily be able to Citadel at this range too, I think. I'm pretty sure it would be able to Citadel at this range, and yet Mecklenburg, it seems like, won't be able to. But we are reasonably consistent at punishing those broadside cruisers, so I do want to keep that in mind. So you want to be swapping ammo types a lot in this ship, so running gun feeder is going to pretty much be a must here. Unfortunately, that Petro actually permanently takes out one of our front guns. We're more of a Mechlin Rune, I think one of my teammates in this game said, which is pretty hilarious. But unfortunate for us, because it certainly impacts the amount of damage we're able to do. So we actually don't even finish off the Monty here, and he gets one last salvo into us. And one of the other major weak points of the Mecklenburg is going to be your turret angles. So if you're going to sit here and fire all your guns, you're open for business. People are going to smash you like that Monty just did to us. So you want to be moving more, you want to be playing around with your rudder more and angling, unlike what I did in that clip. Now moving on, our last game I have to show you is the best one I had while playing these ships. I've been playing them quite a bit, all these steel battleships this week, and this is the best one I had in Mecklenburg. It's going to be pretty nice, although notice how much we're down by here. This is arms race, which is typically going to snowball out of control because the winning team gets stronger with more buffs. But we're going to bring this one back. It's going to be pretty close towards the end of this game, which I'm pretty happy with when it comes to the Mecklenburg. But we got a lot of work to do before then, so we will need to try and take out this Rhode Island. And when it comes to a lot of these German battleships, typically you want to be kiting. Pushing in with these things is just a little bit worse, GK especially, but a lot of these other ones as well. It seems like your armor holds up a little better when you're kiting rather than pushing in. Just a little bit easier. Although most people typically don't push into a German battleship for that reason, but also the secondaries, right? You just don't want to be caught in secondary range. So now to deal with the Bourgogne and the Lauria on our flank, I just kind of want to run away from this. At longer ranges, I don't really trust my guns against those two. So we're going to try and deal with the enemy push on this other side. When it comes to the build, I'll show that towards the end, but I'm running mostly a main gun build here. I'm not trying to get fancy with secondaries or AA build like I looked at in a video earlier this week or last week, something like that. Just more of a standard build. That's what I'm trying to do with these videos. I'm running more standard builds. We do have some secondary accuracy and range, but we're not running the full thing. We're trying to maximize these main guns because that is the gimmick here. That is the special sauce of the Mecklenburg, I guess, is the 16 guns with good reload and good accuracy. Just the shells kind of let you down sometimes. A lot of hits there on the Schlieffen and not a lot of damage. Sure, he's angled for sure, but sometimes those superstructure hits could do a little bit more, I think. At least we do have a defensive fire, so even though there's no hydro here, we do get a defensive fire, so we can deal with the planes a little bit better. I'm not going to pop it quite for this one, but some of the other strikes coming in this game, we definitely are going to need it. Now, I know this Michelangelo is going to run out of smoke here soon, so we're going to get ready for him. This is just perfect Mecklenburg play here. This is what we want to see. Broadside cruiser, close range, with a citadel. And we only get one. We only get one, man. Yeah, that's pain right there. That's what that is. Even watching it back, that is rough. So yeah, Mecklenburg should probably get a dev strike there, I think. Typically, we're probably going to get a dev strike there. Riga also goes broadside to us, and unfortunately, I think I aimed this slightly low. He turns out aim bug low, whatever it is. Unfortunately, we let both those cruisers go. Quite a sad state there. But a Summers does appear, and destroyers are pretty small, right? So you'd think with our dispersion, how wonky it's been some of this time, we wouldn't hit them very much. But no, we hit 12 out of 16 shells on them. So for whatever reason, the way this game works is you just get better dispersion against DDs when you're in a battleship than you do against broadside cruisers with giant citadels or battleships. I don't actually know if that's true. That hasn't been like proven or anything, but that's just the way it feels sometimes. It feels like, wow, how did I hit every shell on that DD, and yet the broadside cruiser at the same range only took one citadel, right? That's kind of the thought process there, I guess. But hey, nice salvo into the Schlieffen there, and we do manage to live here. I am waiting, though. I cut out some dead air just because I was waiting for my heal to come back before engaging again. I really just wanted to stay dark as long as I possibly could. So we do get a nice 18k into the Bismarck. Every once in a while, salvos like that do happen, by the way. It's not just going to shatter on battleships. Sometimes, mainly into lower tier battleships, if I'm being honest, we do get some very, very nice salvos into them. So these 305s can do some good work. It's almost like they are meant to be played around tier 8 rather than at tier 10. Unfortunate for us. We do lose the submarine here. But look at this. We've brought it back to nearly equal terms. Unfortunately, they do have more buffs. And if we let them get the cap, that could be a serious problem for our team when it comes to winning. But this Lauria, I think, might make a mistake. So we're getting ready to shoot his broadside here. Lauria also has an above water citadel, only in the middle of his ship though, so keep that in mind. You have to hit the very center, mainly where that superstructure is beneath the smokestacks. And that's pretty much where we hit. 4 citadels, 52,000 damage salvo. That's more like it. That's what we like to see. If only that could happen to that Michelangelo. I'm sorry, I'll stop talking about that salvo, but it still just gets to me that guy got away with that one. As soon as the Lauria angles, though, we do have a bit more problems, and the enemy carrier coming in. Here's where we need to use that defensive fire, and we do need to angle. So I am risking the Lauria killing me into my broadside just to keep a better angle to make it harder for this midway to take me down. The Lauria has sap, which is going to struggle a bit into German belt armor specifically. So that does allow us to stay alive there just barely. And just his last 2 turrets there actually almost got us, to be fair. And probably with the Bourgogne looking at us, we do need to just try to slow down and turn out. That's our only hope. The stop juke combined with the aiming system struggles with turning out and slowing down. We do manage to dodge that Bourgogne salvo, fortunately. So we're still alive. 3 million potential damage into this one. 235k is a decent damage game as well. So if we can manage to take this Bourgogne out, it's looking closer. It's looking a lot closer. We only have the DD as well as the cruiser to deal with then at that point. So very close match here at the end, especially given how it was going and the way matches tend to steamroll, especially in arms race. Pretty happy with how our team has gotten back into this match here. Our Republic is very low. That's why they're not shooting me, by the way, if you were wondering. I'm pretty low, but the Republic's even lower on HP, so that's why they're trying to finish him off, which is good play from the enemy team, trying to finish off whoever's the lowest here. I'm next, of course, but this Bourgogne, in his efforts to deal with our Republic, is kind of grounded broadside to us. I aim high this time, and we do manage to hit his upper belt and get a decent salvo in there. But still, 5 torp protection hits is kind of rough, I gotta say. 263 now. Very, very nice game. And if this Riga gets spotted here and he's reversing to try and stay in the cap, maybe get a quick little dev strike here. Unfortunately, I rushed the shot. And if you saw on the minimap there, I actually aimed this far too low. So this one's actually going to miss. And the enemy team is going to win this game. But we still brought it back. We still made it close. So I'm pretty happy with that. And Mecklenburg here showing us that it is a very competent tier 10 battleship, although one with a few issues. And my issues with this one really just surround having 305s at tier 10. Just don't feel great. The HE is kind of meh. And so is the armor piercing if we fight anything at our tier that's even slightly angled. Or we just happen to get rough dispersion sometimes. It's a little frustrating when you have this many guns and it's supposed to be accurate. As for the build that I was running on this ship, again, I wasn't trying to get too fancy with it, but still trying to take a look at some of the strengths of the Mecklenburg here. Main guns, of course, so we're going accuracy as well as reload here. Prop mod to try and do some speed juking here and there can be very useful. And I actually should probably swap over to main armaments, given how we completely lost a turret in one of those games. I was kind of surprised by that, so might need that to keep our turrets alive. Although then the secondaries and AA just get blown off a lot quicker, so it's a bit of a trade-off in this one. So going gun feeder, of course, given how reliant we are on choosing the right ammo type here. But 3600 alpha, 27% fire chance, kind of rough on this HE alpha. Although, if you buff it too much, suddenly it just becomes straight up overpowered with how good this HE is on the Rhode Island. 5k alpha, 31% fire chance. Sure, this one only has 12 guns, but it certainly hits a lot harder with that high explosive than the Mecklenburg does. And I think gets a few more fires as well, at least a little more consistently. And taking Grease the Gears here as our next upgrade, you could take really a lot of other things. You could try Brisk, given the concealment of this ship. Vigilance could be useful as well. But Grease the Gears, just making our ship feel a little more nimble when it comes to repositioning and dealing with targets that pop up on our flanks potentially. And I am running the secondary upgrades here on the Commander, but also taking Adrenaline Rush extra heals, and concealment. We could honestly just totally give up on the secondaries. A lot of the time, we're not getting much value out of them anyway, so it could easily just be a fire prevention, get rid of long-range secondaries as well, and just go basic survivability, something like that. Or even try running something like Furious to just up the reload even further on these guns and try and catch people off guard that way. But yeah, I figured try and run a few secondaries here. You probably have some German battleship commanders that could run that, so you might swap them over anyway and try the secondaries. They do all right here. And of course, we do have torpedoes on this ship, but typically we're not getting at that closer ranges, especially at tier 10 with this ship to actually make it worthwhile, since our HP is lower as well. 85k is quite low for a German battleship at this tier, even though our armor is pretty decent. We got that nice icebreaker bow, as well as decent armor all around. But there are a few HE spammers that get over 50 mil plate pen on their HE, so it can be a little bit rough. But that turtleback is there, even if it isn't quite as strong as something like a GK. I think is a little stronger than this one, but still decent armor. But it's that superstructure, right? As always with these German battleships, that can be a bit of an issue. So there we go. That is my opinion on Mecklenburg in 2024 here. It is certainly a decent pickup for steel, and certainly one I would get before the Shikishima, and little spoilers, but before Incomparable as well. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.